There is a certain kind of tiredness that doesn't come from doing too much today, but from holding everything together for a very long time. It's the kind you feel even when nothing is technically wrong. And if you're honest, you've felt it since you were young, long before you had words for it. Maybe you were the kid who didn't cry much, or the one who noticed when the room felt tense and quietly adjusted yourself to keep things calm. Maybe you learned early how to stay composed, capable, dependable, even when no one asked you to. Not because you were praised for it, but because it felt safer that way. If this feels strangely familiar, just stay with me for a moment. Sometimes strength doesn't come from encouragement. Sometimes it's something a child grows into because there wasn't enough room to be small. Not in an obvious way. Not always through trauma people recognize, but through tiny moments that added up. Moments where your feelings felt inconvenient. Where needing comfort felt like too much. Where you learned that being fine kept things moving and kept you connected. As a child, you might have noticed that the adults around you were overwhelmed, distracted, emotionally unavailable, or struggling in ways no one talked about. You didn't sit down and decide to be strong. You adapted. You paid attention. You learned how to read moods, how to anticipate needs, how to not add to the load. And somewhere along the way, strength stopped being a choice and became your role. What's interesting is how quiet this kind of childhood is. From the outside, it often looks like maturity, responsibility, independence. You may have been called wise beyond your years, reliable, easy, but inside, something else was happening. You were learning to self-contain, to manage discomfort alone, to keep your inner world neat and controlled so nothing spilled out and caused trouble. If you're finding yourself nodding along, this might be a good moment to gently stay connected. Videos like this are made for people who process deeply and quietly, and if that's you, subscribing can be a soft way to give yourself more of these moments of understanding without pressure. Just something to return to when you need it. As that child grows up, the strength remains, but so does the pattern. As an adult, you might be the one others lean on, the one who stays calm in chaos, the one who doesn't ask for much. You handle things, you survive things. And yet, there's often an underlying sense of emotional loneliness, even in close relationships. Not because people don't care, but because you learned so early how to carry things alone that letting someone truly see your softer edges feels unfamiliar, maybe even unsafe. You might notice it in small ways. How hard it is to rest without guilt. How uncomfortable it feels to admit you're overwhelmed. How you instinctively minimize your own needs, even in your own thoughts. You might struggle to receive care without feeling awkward, or feel oddly tense when someone tries to take care of you. Strength became your language, but it came at the cost of ease. There's often a quiet grief underneath this pattern. Not dramatic, not obvious. Just a subtle sadness for the childhood moments that never fully happened. Being held without explaining, being upset without fixing it, being allowed to be fragile without consequences. This grief doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as numbness. Sometimes as hyper-independence. Sometimes as feeling disconnected from your own emotions until they suddenly feel too big. What makes this psychology so complex is that nothing feels clearly wrong. You function, you succeed, you cope. And because of that, your inner experience can feel invisible even to you. You might tell yourself that others had it worse, that you're fine, that you should be grateful. And yet, there is a part of you that feels like you've been holding your breath for decades. Children who learn to be strong too early often grow into adults who confuse emotional safety with emotional distance. Not because they don't want closeness, but because closeness once meant responsibility. It meant managing others' feelings, staying alert, being useful. So now when relationships get emotionally intense, your nervous system doesn't relax. It tightens. It prepares. It stays strong. You might also notice how hard you are on yourself. How quickly you push through pain. How rarely you pause to ask what you actually feel. Strength taught you how to survive, but it didn't teach you how to soften. And softening for you can feel like losing control. If this is touching something personal, you're not alone in it. Many people carry this pattern quietly, assuming it's just their personality. If you feel comfortable, you're invited to share in the comments what part of this resonated with you or what you recognized in yourself. Sometimes putting words to it is the first time it feels real. There's something deeply human about the child who became strong too early. That strength came from intelligence, sensitivity, and awareness. It was creative. It was adaptive. It protected you. And it still does in many ways. But it may also be the reason you feel tired in moments when you should feel okay. Or why rest feels earned, not natural. Or why being taken care of feels foreign. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about understanding the story your nervous system has been living in. When you see that your strength was once a solution, not a flaw, something inside you can begin to soften on its own. Recognition has a way of doing that without effort. As we come toward the end, just notice how it feels to have this part of you seen, even briefly. Not analyzed, not corrected, just understood. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who's always been the strong one, consider sharing this video with them. Not as a message, but as a quiet mirror they might need more than they realize. You don't have to let go of your strength. It's part of you. But you deserve moments where you don't have to rely on it. And sometimes the first step toward that is simply realizing why it was there in the first place. Thank you for spending this quiet moment here. If you choose to stay connected with Mind Grooming, you're always welcome back. These conversations will be here, waiting, whenever you need to feel a little less alone with what you carry.